Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm hoping that you have enjoyed the first two beginner's astrology classes and you've had time to digest it a little bit. So, we are going to jump right into intermediate astrology. So, again, in this course, we are going to talk about the planets that rule each of the signs. Some are ruled by more than one planet. We are going to talk about our moon signs and our rising signs. And I'm also going to moon signs, rising signs, and then touch on the cusps. So I didn't really talk about that yet. So let's talk about that first, actually, and get that out of the way, right? So, a lot of you may have come this far and have studied and kind of understand the qualities of that are attributed to each astrological sign and have thought, well, it doesn't really apply to me or certain people that I know because it doesn't describe them really at all or only maybe a very small bit. Um, so part of that could be attributed to it them being on the cusp of a certain sign, meaning each sign, of course, we know transitions into the next one, usually the third week of the month, and it fluctuates from year to year, right? So, but typically it's between the 19th and the 21st or 22nd of each month that the sun transitions from one sign into another. What it means when you're on the cusp is that you are born either a few days before that transition or after that transition, right? So you might be born one year, say, in the sign of Pisces because your birthday was March 21st. But then the next year, Aries season might start on the 20th. And so it's already Aries season as it did this year. But your birthday's on the 21st. So what happens in that case is you are picking up qualities and traits from both of those signs, from Pisces and from Aries. So if that's you and you are born somewhere in that window time frame of a couple of days on either side of the transition of the sun from one side to the next, that just means that you are on the cusp. And so you would want to kind of study the attributes and the qualities and the characteristics of both signs. And you might come to see that, oh, okay, well, this makes a little bit more sense because I have more of these qualities than this quality. And that applies not only with your sun sign, but every single other sign. So your moon, your Mercury, all of that. So all of those planets can be on a cusp on the date of your birth, in the time of your birth. And so really when you start to dig a little bit deeper into astrology and you start to really kind of figure out those cusp energies, then you'll really get why, I'm not really much of an Aquarius at all. I'm more like a Pisces. I'm more like a Capricorn, right? All right. So that should be pretty self-explanatory. But again, remember, I'm always available for any questions you might have, okay? So now we are going to move on to the planet or planets that rule each sign. And I am, again, going to share all of this documentation with you so you'll have it permanently after you go through the course material, go through the videos. There's also a nice little handy chart of the symbols that represent each planet. So they'll start to look a little bit more familiar to you when you look at a birth chart or you look at any zodiac chart, any astrology chart, okay? So first of all, Aries is ruled by Mars, and that should kind of start to make sense. Mars is the god of war. of sex, of drive, of ambition, warrior energy. And we talked about that. Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac. It's ushering in the new astrological year. And so that makes sense that Aries, that planet, is the ruler of, Mars is the ruler of Aries. Mars also is a co-ruler of another planet, and we will get to that in a bit. Next, we have Taurus. Venus, believe it or not, rules Taurus. So what do we know about Venus? Well, we've said Venus is, like women are from Mars. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Venus is the planet of beauty, luxury, love, and pleasure, creativity, the softer side of things, if you will. So that's Taurus. And again, that confuses a lot of people because the symbol for Taurus is a bull. But Taurus is an earth sign. So you think about the aspects of a bull, but also earth sign. Earth signs are feminine. Earth signs are nurturing, loving the luxuries of life, the sensual pleasures of life. But with that Taurus energy, Venus becomes a little bit, or a very lot of bit, assertive, over the top assertive about getting it, right? So that might start to make sense a little bit, right? So next we have Gemini. Gemini, the sign of the twins, is ruled, maybe surprise or no surprise, by the planet Mercury. Mercury is this planet of information, communication, connection, spark. It's quick moving energy. It's conversational. It is anything to do with communication and technology is ruled by Mercury. Okay. Now, Mercury does also co-rule another planet, and we will get to that in a bit. But if you think about anyone born at the end of May to the third week of June, that probably for most of them does apply, right? They're very much idea people. And also Mercury, you may have heard those retrogrades, right? Mercury goes into retrograde more than any other planet in our solar system because it's the closest to the sun. It happens usually at least 2 or 3 times a year. And what is that blamed on? That is blamed on communication breakdown, technological breakdowns, just people not meshing in a communication style. So think about Mercury or Geminis. If you've ever seen a Gemini, and it doesn't happen very often, but get confused or get information or get something, an idea or a project that they're working on completely wrong, it literally brings them to a halt. It really is difficult for them to deal with and accept, and it slows them down and it depresses them and it angers them. So Geminis don't get angry too often, but it's usually has to do with something with Mercury, something with a project, with a bad communication, with in like people misreading their intentions or their energy, or their chattiness as being something more, or their intelligence, their inquisitiveness as being something more than what it is. All right, so keep that in mind. Next, we have Cancer. Now, I believe we've discussed this before as well, but Cancer is ruled by the moon. And the moon, of course, is our planet's satellite. So this is all, the moon also rules the tides, the ocean, the currents on our planet. Okay, so Cancer being a water sign, that's water, feminine, it's very nurturing, emotional, likes comfort, security, very sensitive, very intuitive, right? So that should really kind of start to make sense. Leo is ruled by the sun. So what we revolve around, Leo is ruled by the sun. And this should also make sense. It's vitality, power, authority, drama, pride, creativity, passion. All right. Now, Virgo is up next. Virgo is one of those signs ruled by two planets. And we already talked about this one before, but it's ruled by Mercury. But it's also ruled by lesser satellite Chiron. Okay, so in this position, Mercury is also giving that analytical and those ideas and the quick thinking. But Chiron is all about healing old childhood traumas, especially related to the mother, sexuality, early home life. Okay. Libra is also ruled by Venus. Now, this might make a little bit more sense to you because of the balance that and the harmony and the partnership and the beauty that Libra energy represents. Venus really works to bring all of that in balance here. So this is an air sign. Venus in an earth sign is definitely more feminine, more nurturing, more love of pleasure and beauty and all of that. It is that in Libra as well, but Libra is an air sign, so it's more dealing with the ideas. So it's more kind of up here in the brain, kind of more wanting the ideal of the balance, the partnership, harmony. Okay, beauty as an ideal, not as a vanity thing. Although sometimes Libras can be very vain. Let's keep that real. All right. Next up we have Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars and Pluto. So Mars, that might understand that a little bit of Scorpio energy is that drive, that ambition, okay? But Pluto is the planet of transformation, sex, rebirth, and mystery. Now, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And if you've ever watched any of my just full or new moon videos, you know I talk about Saturn a lot. Saturn is the planet of karma, of responsibility. It's the timekeeper of the zodiac. Also, there's ambition, but there's a lot of restriction and disciplinary energy with Saturn and limitation. All right, and then Aquarius is co-ruled by both Saturn and Uranus. So Saturn also feels that responsibility, that ambition, that limitation, karmic events. But Uranus is also as a different vibe of individuality, of eccentricity, freedom loving, revolutionary ideas, and very intellectual as well. And then last sign of the zodiac, of course, Pisces is co-ruled by Jupiter and Neptune. So Jupiter, did I miss I skipped Sagittarius, I'm sorry. Let's go back to Sagittarius. That's in between Scorpio and Capricorn, as you know. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Sagittarius is a fire sign, so this is luck, this is opportunity, this is travel, expansion, optimism on a very quick, fast-paced scale. And then skipping Capricorn and Aquarius back to Pisces at the end of the zodiac, we've got Jupiter and Neptune. So Jupiter has all of those kind of revolutionary ideas and love of opportunity as well. But they're much more spiritual. There's a dreamy quality. They're very intuitive. They use their imagination a lot, very creative, fantasy, emotion driven. All right. So those are the planets that rule and co-rule each sign. And it might be starting to come together a little bit for you now. I'm hoping so.